Spoken mate, I haven't thought about flying for a long time. I haven't dreamed of that moment when I was alone above the clouds for a long time. I haven't dreamed of waking up in a room surrounded in blue and green grass for more years than I could dream of remembering. I haven't walked back into the past or scratched on the doors of my origins, where it all came from, since I held up that cape for the last time.
Return to Kent Town 10th Year Anniversary Edition is a revised version of Andy N's first poetry book. The book can be purchased from Amazon and it contains numerous additional material.
Spoken mate.
Hi, it's Andy Ann from Spoken Label. Spoken Label was originally set up at the beginning of 2016, and records show it started off really as a one-off podcast chatting to writers, poets and artists. Over time, it became monthly, then weekly, and occasionally nowadays it goes on back to a more regular basis. To date, I've done over 330 sessions, and I'm always looking for new poets, writers, artists, singer-songwriters, general interesting creative people to come onto the podcast. You can find this on all the usual networks over Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, Podbay, and dozens of others. But it does have a central database of Spoken Label, which is all one word, .bandcamp.com. Obviously now, to help me with the running costs of this podcast, I'm always grateful for any kind of donation to assist me with it. You can either do the donation through the Bandcamp page by putting in a fee to download one of the free podcasts, or send it over to my PayPal to aen1mpo at yahoo.co.uk. My email address again is aen1mpo at yahoo.co.uk. Enjoy the podcast. Take care. Bye.
Spoken mate.
I'm really happy to be reading today. And this is a poem. Ashley did say that they would be very welcoming of poems that were quite gay. So this is a poem that's quite gay. It is the first time that I remember encountering the idea that people weren't all straight. And it's called Out and Proud. It's 1986. I'm on the train with my mum and I'm wishing that she would explain what I'm looking at. A sticker, pink and black, on the black leather jacket of the girl sitting opposite me, and I can't stop staring at her crew cut. The jeans and the t-shirt and jacket she's wearing, the look in her eyes I recognise as defiance. She sparkles, she glitters. She's someone like me, someone who won't fit as the rest of them do, and her stickers, there's one on each shoe, another one on her backpack. Whatever it means, she's keen for me to know it. She's telling the world, though not quite out loud, out and proud. I'm 7. And I'm good at reading. This strange new slogan seems somehow misleading. Out and they don't go together. It should be out of. And I don't know whether it's okay to ask. She looks fierce. Her lip and her nose and her eyebrow are pierced, and she glitters with the light of someone I might like to be one day. When I'm not so afraid, but I know what Mum would say. Don't bother the lady. Don't talk to strangers. She looks a bit like my sister, who's braver than I am. I'm 7, and I'm good at trying to be invisible. I'm good at hiding in plain sight, putting myself in a bubble, being unobtrusive, no trouble, and I'm good at reading. Proud. Pride. It's a thing you can feel if you've tried and you've done something right. You've succeeded, but what did she do? It's impossible to tell. Maybe my reading isn't as good as I thought, and as we travel further and further north, she seems to become more and more alone. Maybe she's been out with her friends all day, and now, just like me and my mum, she's off home or somewhere she really doesn't want to go. She's furtive. Her eyes dart up and down the crowded carriage and then start to droop. She's tired. I'm hoping she doesn't mind. I'm watching her reflection against the blurring countryside. I don't want her to lose her pride, but it seems to me with every mile she's leaving it further behind. The train pulls into Leeds. She stands up, peels off the stickers, sticks them back to back, stashes them in the back of her backpack, leaves. In the toilets in Leeds, I ask my mother, what does out and proud mean? She smiles with relief. I'm so glad you didn't ask on the train. I wouldn't have known what to say. But she doesn't explain. At home, I ask my sister. Pierce knows, Fierce knows everything. There was this girl on the train and she had this sticker. And what does out and proud mean? She grins, begins explaining. Well, you know how I'm going out with Max and Tom's Anna's boyfriend. Well, that girl has a girlfriend instead of a boy, and some people don't like it. And she's saying, oi, I'm proud of who I am. The out, that just means there's no secret. I pout. Can't believe it. This wasn't in the book Mum made me read about sperm and vaginas and babies, the facts of life. This seems like something I should have been told about. Lots of things are facts of life. What a stupid title for a book that leaves so many things out. It's 5 years before I learn any names for ways that I'm like her. I hope that she realised how much I liked her. And in the years to come of being forced out, pushed out, locked out, held out, she made it that bit easier to hack it, because she wore a sticker on her jacket that told me that I was allowed to be different, to be me, to be out and proud. Thank you. And thank you very much. And as has been mentioned already, I do have a book. I'll put some links in the chat at the end. It's called Monstrous, and it is the opinions of various folklore monsters. And this is not a particularly gay poem, but it is a poem about Fenrir, who was a giant wolf who was the son of Loki in Norse mythology, who I would say got done dirty by the Norse gods. I was so small, a little ball of fluff, not much to look at, just a runt, they said, the ones who came to take me from my mother. I growled at them. They laughed derisively. For who was I, a little mongrel whelp, to bear my milk teeth at the mighty Aesir? But one of them scratched me behind my ears and let me lick his fingers, salty, sweet. I liked that one. That one smelled like a friend. I met the Allfather. He laughed at me and called me little nephew. I didn't understand, but then he said that wolves were sacred to him. So despite my parents and my dangerous reputation, he'd suffer me to live among the gods. If I could be a good dog for my master. He called me dog. He thought he was my master. I did briefly consider trying to bite him, but even Tyr, the one with the kind hands and friendly smell, cringed in his mighty presence. I whined, rolled over, hoped that I looked cute. I started growing fast and didn't stop, at wolf size or at bear size or at dragon. At first, they were impressed. Then they were frightened, remembering I was no normal wolf of the Yutna. I was giant born, and now I was no longer small or cute. And when I snarled and bared my pointed teeth, I noticed that the gods no longer laughed, not anymore. They cringed. I rather liked that. But Tyr of the kind hands, he still loved Fenrir. He played with me and scratched me behind my ears, would even put his hands between my jaws and roll around with me, such was his trust. And of them all, I loved him. Although Odin proclaimed himself to be my only master, if I was ever anybody's dog, I wasn't his. He never smelled of friendship. But Tyr, I did really believe he loved me. They came to me, all smiles, smelling of treason. The Aesir, even Tyr. They said they brought me a game, a challenge, something that would prove to all the world that I was now the strongest. My ears pricked up, and then they brought the chains. I yelped with laughter. Those would never hold me. I let them bind me. Bigger chains, then bigger, were soon scrap metal strewn around the floor, and then they brought me something they called Bleipnir, a ribbon, though it did not smell of silk. It shone, although it did not smell of silver. They smiled, although they did not smell of friendship. I went to bind me, snarling. I drew back. But Tyr, my friend, came up and scratched my ears and said there wasn't anything to fear. I took his sweet hand in between my jaws. This was a game, then he would not mind playing our old game. I could taste the tang of fear upon his skin, but he agreed. He nodded. The Aesir bound me. I could not break free. I looked at Tyr. He nodded once again. I closed my jaws. His hand was salty, sweet. I would have been his dog if he had loved me, and for his sake I would have served his alpha, his all-father. But I am no one's dog, and one day Fenris Wolf will be revenged. And thank you very much. And I will finish with an update. Please put a number between 1 and 6 in the chat. And I will tell you what I am doing at the moment, which is every year at the time between March and June, I write 100 poems in 100 days. And the monster poems were from a couple of years ago. I asked people to suggest different monsters from different folklores, and I wrote poems about them. This year, I am using dice to decide what poem I write every day. So I roll a d20 and decide on a poetry form, roll a d10 and decide on theme, d6 for sort of general mood, and sort of percentile dice for a wildcard element I have to include. So if I just have a look, I will find which poem was poem. I'm only up to 6 so far, so I will find poem number 4 and share that with you. So going back, just sing hold music to yourself while I find this. So 5. So poetry number 4 is called Object Lesson. This poem, the poetry dice asked me for a poem about animals and animal friends. It asked me for a poem in verse form called Trochaic Tetrameter, which goes dum 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 like that. And it also asked that the poem include, what was it? Something else. Fire, the idea of fire. And this made me think about a question that people get asked. You may have been asked this question. If your house was on fire and you could only save one object from your house, what would you choose to save? And that's supposed to tell something about your personality. And so that was what I was thinking about when I wrote this. This is called Object Lesson. Scenario. Your house is burning. Flames are tearing through the kitchen. Acrid smoke. Your eyes are stinging. You are choking. Quick, get going. There's no time for careful packing. You can take just one possession. Just one object out to safety. What you choose will tell us something of your character. Choose quickly. Sometimes people ask this question, say, I'd take my snuggle muffin, take my little booper snoodle, couldn't leave my precious floofer to the flames. That's what I'm taking. Then they think that they have shown you what a kind and gentle nature they have got. They'd save their pet, so they must really be a hero. This decision raises questions. Firstly, why can't Booper Snoodle get himself outside to safety? Maybe, though, the pet's a goldfish, or a rat in an enclosure, or a dog with bad arthritis who can't leave without assistance. Surely, then, the urge to rescue poor and helpless fellow creatures indicates strong moral values. Does it really? Second question. Is an animal an object, an inanimate possession, or is it a fellow creature that you choose to share your home with? Would a baby in a cradle or an elderly relation stuck in bed and be left frazzled in the terrible inferno? No, they do not count as objects. That's an automatic given. They aren't counted in the limit of what you can take out with you. So these people who will say that all they care about is tiddles actually betray themselves by counting animals as objects and by trying to cheat the game and make themselves look empathetic. Anyway, your home is burning. Take your phone. You're going to need it. Thank you very much. That is all of my set. I've been Tom Juniper.
Spoken Label.